If you don't know, you don't want to know, you don't want liability, there are options because you are held to a standard of things you know or should have known. Welcome to the Wise Fiduciary Podcast. I am Marta Hurst, one of your hosts from Fiduciary Wise. Whether you're a thought leader, service provider, CEO, or decision maker, this podcast is for you. We break down best practices, the services and solutions available to you, discuss the latest topics, and shake up the industry norms. Join us as we explore, challenge, and navigate the future of fiduciary responsibility together. So this season, we are doing things a little bit different. We're going to have a little skit because everybody loves a good skit. And we all have parts here on the Wise Fiduciary podcast. So I'm Marta Hurst, a partner here at Fiduciary Wise. For the purposes of today's skit, I will be playing the plan sponsor. Isaac?
I'm Isaac Wood. I'm an ERISA 402A specialist here at Fiduciary Wise, a proud member of the podcast team at the Wise Fiduciary Podcast. And for our skit today, I will be playing the part of the financial advisor.
And I'm Kate McBride, a 402A specialist here at Fiduciary Wise and a member of the ERISA Advisory Council at the Department of Labor. And I will be playing Fiduciary Wise.
Okay, you got the good part.
We are all getting situated in our costumes. This is my plan sponsor cardigan. Isaac, I really like the tie. You look super professional today. So for those of you who can't see us, we are definitely getting into our roles here. So to start us off, we do have our narrator. So this is our producer. You'll hear her voice, Haley. So thanks, Haley, for being our narrator today.
Fiduciary Wise obtains a new client and, as normal procedure, schedules an introduction meeting with the new client and all the service providers. After initial introductions and some standard agenda items, something interesting comes up.
So the record keeper's proposing a fee increase. They say it's in line with the industry norms. I'm tempted to just accept it. We've been with them for years.
Yes, but remember, we did an RFP and found another provider offering lower fees last quarter. They had better tech support too.
Well, great news. Fiduciary Wise can help you navigate this.
I'd really prefer to stick with our current provider, even with the higher fee. They've been reliable, and making a change is such a pain.
Well, that might feel easy, but under ERISA, fiduciaries have to act prudently, solely in the interest of plan participants and beneficiaries, especially when it comes to service providers. That means you can't just accept a fee increase without comparing options.
Even if we trust the provider?
Well, trust is good, but fiduciary duty is about process, not comfort. You're expected to monitor all your service providers regularly, including fees, performance, conflicts of interest. Under ERISA, you are responsible for those taking an action on the things that you know. Actually, also on the things that you should have known.
So even if we weren't told about better rates elsewhere, I'm still responsible if I didn't look?
Exactly. Courts look at what a prudent fiduciary would have done. Benchmark fees, reviewed service provider agreements, asked questions, and if better options exist and you ignore them, that's a breach.
What about documenting all of this? I still have the proposals and comparisons from when we did this before.
Well, documenting a prudent process is part of the requirement. With Fiduciary Wise, we can help too. We keep records of your reviews, why you chose or stayed with a provider, what alternatives you considered, how you evaluated the fees. Evaluating service providers does not mean just picking the cheapest or picking your favorite. It's about putting participants first, always, and documenting how those decisions meet that priority. And that is your protection.
Okay, let's get a fee benchmarking report and revisit all those other proposals and make sure we document everything.
Let's do it. ERISA doesn't expect perfection. It expects prudence based on what you know or should know. Ignoring the warning signs or failing to investigate, that's what gets fiduciaries in trouble. Remember, under ERISA, you're responsible for those taking an action based on the things you know and actually also on the things you should have known. And Fiduciary Wise doesn't just decide this. We listen to court cases and stay current with legislation and listen to judges' rulings, just like this one.
This is Judge Jones. I want to take a moment and talk about exclusive benefit and what you know or ought to know. That is a heavy responsibility. It is so difficult to understand, but so significant that it actually even went to the Supreme Court. There are a number of cases that can be shown of what known or should have known is about. But I'm going to today talk about, for just a moment, the case of Donovan versus Beerworth. Here the court came down with a heavy hand and said that what you do is not what a commoner on the street would do, or even someone that was basically has an understanding of ERISA, but you're held to a standard of what you know or should have known. That means extensively being a scholar on what is happening in ERISA. And that must be studied really almost every day in order to meet this very high standard. It's a difficult standard, but it's one that must be there, because in order to know or should have known, you must be ready and up to date on what is happening all the time in the various segments of the law.
Hi, I'm Kate McBride with Fiduciary Wise. We know that managing retirement plans comes with a lot of responsibility, and having the right knowledge is crucial to making the best decisions for your plan and participants. That's why at Fiduciary Wise, we don't just provide fiduciary services, we're committed to educating those who manage retirement plans through resources like the Fiduciary Wise Brief. Our program delivers expert insights to help you navigate the complexities of ERISA, compliance, and the fiduciary risk management. If you're finding value in what you're hearing in this podcast and want to take your understanding to the next level, let's continue the conversation. Reach out to us at fiduciarywise.com/scheduling and learn how we can support you with the knowledge and tools you need to confidently manage your plans.
Are we taking
Don,
the
hi, Don.
off now?
Well,
I like that.
I'm going to push my glasses up so we can have our future wise discussion. But hey, if you want to keep the hat, Isaac, you keep the hat.
Wow.
So let's break this down a little bit. So that should have known piece always kind of baffles me, because I feel like there are plenty of people who don't stay current on 401k plans. That's not even what they're busy running their business. They are not trying to stay current with 401k stuff. It made me, today I was trying to think of like, what can I relate this to in like the regular world? And I feel like it's when my son comes home and does whatever he does in the afternoon. And then the next day on the way to school says, oh, I forgot to do my homework. And I'm like, well, why didn't you do your homework? Oh, well, I didn't know. Like my friend just told me. Well, did you really not know? Like, I'm sure that the teacher said it. I'm sure that it was on your syllabus. I'm sure it was on Google Classroom. Like you should have known, because there was information out there to gather. So
Right.
Does that make sense? Is that how you guys think about it?
Yeah, I kind of think about it. I was trying to think of an example too. And so like if you're leasing a car, and they have like the schedule that you're supposed to do like maintenance on it. Like imagine if you lease your car for like 3 years and just never did any maintenance on it at all, never got your oil changed or anything, and you go and turn it back in and they're like, this thing is falling apart and nothing works. And like, what did you do? And you're like, I didn't do anything. And they're like, well, you should have. And they had given you kind of the layout of what things that you should have been doing. And so even like in that scenario, you don't have to be the one that's like doing the work, but you should have been taking it to other professionals to be making sure that your car was maintained. So that's kind of how I think about it, of like as a plan sponsor who, whether they know it or not, right? Talk about things whether they know or not, they are the named fiduciary on the plan, right? And so ERISA says, hey, you should know all of this. And I'm reminded that like, you're not just supposed to be aware of things. They expect that you're an expert in all things fiduciary. And that becomes a big challenge for plan sponsors then, because like you said, they're not experts in very many elements of a 401k plan.
You're so right, Isaac. And I think, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that if you are not an expert in some area of your plan or all areas of your plan, because your business is making, toe shoes, right? For ballerinas. It's not, running a plan. So it is hard for plan sponsors, I think, to keep up because things come out of the Department of Labor at a pretty good clip, and there's a lot of good advice, but they have to be able to know where to get it and where to, and actually read it and do it. And if you can't do that, and a lot of plan sponsors can't, small plans or large plans, then delegation is the thing to do. Delegate to a prudent fiduciary. You can delegate almost all your responsibilities to a prudent fiduciary. I can throw that ball to Marta. I can throw that ball to Isaac. You can throw that ball to us. We take over as the prudent fiduciary. It's called the 402A named fiduciary, which is what most plan sponsors aren't now. And they don't realize it. And they don't realize they have that liability. And they're signing that Form 5500 every year. And they don't understand that that means that if there's a lawsuit on that plan, they are being served. So yeah, Isaac, you're right.
I think for any future skits, we have to make it a point to call out that the company that we're working for is toe shoe producers for ballerina shoes. I think that's now written in stone, that has to be called out in some way. I might have to get a different outfit even.
You have to get some ballet shoes.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the plan sponsor costume, and man, I really missed the mark. I'm sorry. I'll dig into that.
You know your toe shoes. That doesn't mean you have to use them. You just
right.
know them. You know how to produce them very well. Yeah, that's your expertise. Making the toe shoes is your expertise. But guess what?
Company's mission. That's your expertise, right? Whatever it is. Yeah.
I do think it is can be overwhelming to think, okay, well, if I am a business owner and I know particular things about particular aspects, I also think about it like when I look at my tax return, like I feel like I know like a fair amount. But I should, if I were going to do my own, I should know more, which is why I hire somebody else to do it. And I think this is kind of the same thing. I mean, if you don't know, you don't want to know, you don't want liability, there are options because you are held to a standard of things you know or should have known.
Well,
exactly.
and
and that delegation to your tax preparer is it's not an exact analogy, but it's a really good one. I mean, our tax returns are 150 pages, and there is that is just insane. We're not that complicated, and so and I think that managing a plan correctly, appropriately, the way the Department of Labor and the IRS demand that they're managed, I think that's a very, very high bar for most, companies that are not accountants or not, even companies that are in the investment business get sued by their plan participants because they're either using their own funds. So that's a no-no unless those funds are better than all the others. And so, it's not an easy job. And so giving that responsibility to a professional team, it just makes sense. I mean, it is complicated. And if you miss some rules, then there are big penalties that you'd have to pay. And if you're managing this for your company and all the people that are in it, then, this is something that should be delegated to knowledgeable experts who can do it the right way and actually help you have a better plan.
And Kate, you did a great job playing your role as fiduciary-wise representative. You're you're committed to your acting skill, and that you're such a method actor that you spent the last how many years like really preparing for this role on this podcast
My
by
whole
immersing
life.
yourself in fiduciary
Almost 1 million years
ways so that you could fill this role. But there was a word that you used often in your role as fiduciary-wise associate, and it was prudence. And I know kind of growing up in this industry and learning about 401ks as I did and selling them in ways, and like there was this saying that you used to say in the fiduciary space that was like, you just, as long as you have a process, you're okay. That that if you got dinged, as long as you're able to show that you have a process, you would be okay. Assuming that you're actually sticking to that process. But actually, what ERISA says is that it's a step further than that. Not only do you need a process, it needs to be a prudent process. And so when I think that applies here, where we're talking about what you know and what you should have known, that's what you're held accountable for. That process, it can't just be a process. It should be, and you should know that it should be a prudent process. And so what does that mean? That means it needs to be correct. It needs to be sufficient under ERISA. It needs to take into account what ERISA requires, not just putting checks in boxes, but looking at all of the boxes and doing them to the highest standard under ERISA. And so there was many years there where financial advisors, TPAs, other service providers for 401k plans would coach plan sponsors that, hey, you just need to have a process here. And it's like, no, it needs to be correct. It needs to be the correct process,
a prudent process,
and it needs to be prudent. And the definition of prudent is provided by ERISA. And so to understand ERISA, to know ERISA, those are all the elements of what you should know. And that we've seen in the court cases where the courts have said you are not unawareness or lack of knowledge is not an adequate defense.
No, it is not a defense. And we talk about this a lot, but it goes back to your role as a plan sponsor has to be doing everything with the plan that is solely in the interest of plan participants. In other words, you can't just do something because it's good for you, the plan sponsor. You always have to have those plan participants and their beneficiaries in mind, because that is who the plan is for. And, and that comes directly out of ERISA, which is 50 years old last year, and it has not changed that part of it. ERISA, grows and gets more exact, changes according to court cases and new law, and it also, it goes hand in hand with trust law. So ERISA is, what the law is, and trust law tells you how you do this for plan participants. And I will bet you 99% of plan sponsors have never ever heard that trust law is involved in it, but it is.
Well, and do they really want to go buy that big book? I've got it back there somewhere, and read it.
It's back there.
It's a lot,
all those
right?
Post-its sticking out.
Hey, I'm Isaac Wood with Fiduciary Wise. With years of experience helping plan sponsors, TPAs, record keepers, and advisors navigate the complexities of retirement plans, I understand that every client has unique needs. That's why our MEP, PEP, and DC group of plan services offer complete customization. Whether you're managing multiple plans or looking to streamline administration, we tailor solutions that fit your goals while also ensuring compliance with ERISA regulations. At Fiduciary Wise, we don't just offer cookie cutter options. We work closely with you to design a plan that maximizes efficiency, minimizes risk, and gives you the control that you need. Imagine the confidence of knowing that you have an experienced team behind you, guiding you every step of the way. If you're ready to take your retirement plan to the next level, let's connect. You can schedule a meeting at fiduciarywise.com/scheduling to see how we can help.
I think your point too about there even professionals in this industry. I mean, we have TPA clients, we have advisor firm clients, we have 338 clients, because even though they are experts in retirement plans, they're experts in what they do, not in overall fiduciary governance for a retirement plan. And they recognize that there might be stuff they don't know that they can know.
The governance part, it's like, I'm going to do, my little dance here. It's like an umbrella over the whole plan. So what does a 402A named fiduciary like Fiduciary Wise do? We are the umbrella over the plan. We take on the liability of the plan sponsor, so they don't have to have that anymore. They have 5 things they're left doing that they can't delegate to us, but all the other things that have to be done, the 75 things that have to be done in a plan every year, we do those. And the plan sponsor stays with those other 5 things that they can't delegate to us. and the plan gets run in a manner that is that is in the best interest of plan participants. My Italian is coming out. In the best
I like
for plan participants. And so, you can tell that I'm passionate about this, and I think it is because it is the right way to do it, and it begets better outcomes. That's the thing. Doing that, you get better outcomes for your plan participants. So people are secure in their retirement. And now a lot of people get to retirement and they start looking at, they're going to spend down what they've saved, and they wonder, is that going to be enough? And they're very not secure about this. And I think anything that a plan sponsor can do to help make them more secure in terms of running the plan while they're accumulating is good for them as they think about what are they going to do in their retirement. So there are a lot of pluses to finding out what we're actually talking about and coming to talk to us.
I do like that we put out some resources for employers. So yes, even if, we put this podcast out, we have some other information on our website, and we want to be of help to employers who offer plans. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the Wise Fiduciary podcast. I think this season is going to be extra fun. So thanks everybody for getting costumes and being ready for this amazing season. But we would love to hear from those of you who are listening, your thoughts, and answer any questions you have. So drop a comment, send us a message, or you can schedule a meeting with us at fiduciarywise.com/scheduling. And don't forget to join us next time for more insights and discussions. So we will see you on the next episode. The Wise Fiduciary Podcast is a production of Fiduciary Wise LLC, where retirement plan expertise meets real-world insights. Hosted by Marta Hurst, Kate McBride, and Isaac Wood, this show is written and produced by the Fiduciary Wise team. Our executive producer is Haley Blank. This episode was written by Marta Hurst. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or investment advice. Always consult a qualified professional regarding your responsibilities as a plan sponsor or a fiduciary. Thanks for listening.